welcome back to Pick My Brain podcast. I am your host, Mr. Chan. Today we have one very simple topic. It's about picking college major, also about career choice. During my years of teaching, I always remind students to think about their own future as early as possible. So when I teach kids in high school, they're often like sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and I keep asking them, like, do you know what you want to do? Now, just a little bit of background that why I care about this question so much, and so should you. Okay, and I only can hope that I realized my career decision a little bit earlier, like maybe like 3 or 4 years earlier than I finally realized I want to be a teacher. So it's about a chain of events that I experienced, suffered back in my college years because I did not quite know genuinely what I wanted to be, other than my mom telling me that, oh, you want to be a pharmacist? I said, sure, because, big money, at least back in the days. And I did not know the real aspects of what being a pharmacist is all about. I just did not know it. And I blindly pursue a career that I had not much of a knowledge. And I was very lucky that I met a friend and my friend's sister who was and still, she's a pharmacist. And I got to ask her a bunch of questions and I realized that, wow, that's what it's like to be a pharmacist. And that does not fit my personality, my lifestyle. And that's when I realized that maybe it's not really that good for me. So I just pursued my chemistry major, thinking about, just climb the ladder, get my master, get my PhD, be a professor, do something about it. But again, I was just blindly following the steps. I did not know what my true motivation was. I thought I liked chemistry, but it's not really that. So long story short, things did not turn out well, especially in the academic side of my chemistry learning in college. And I got some C's and D's. This is my famous story, I retook biochemistry 4 total times. I got a D in my physical chemistry, and that really prompted me at the very end that I cannot be lost anymore. I needed to know what I wanted to be. If you caught my story in the previous episode, you learned about how I came to the realization that I wanted to be a chemistry teacher, right? Teacher at least. Okay. This realization happened at the end of my 3rd year in college. Because of my late realization, I ended up spending 5 total years in college. So I paid 1 extra year of tuition, and expensive tuition because I was an international student, and 1 extra year of living expenses. Okay. And the opportunity cost, which is the money that I could have made if I graduated on time. Okay. So this is the real reason why I kept reminding students that, the earlier you can figure this one out, the better it's going to be. Now, there is a thing called fate. Sometimes it's meant to be. You just couldn't figure out until later. And all I'm saying is, try your very best to find at least a tentative direction, and try to pursue it and see if you are into it, if you like it, and if not, then change it. Okay. So this is the reason why I want, every one of my students to start thinking and hopefully getting an idea before they start applying to college. Now, speaking of picking major, I understand that it's like a big decision. And it is a big decision. Okay. It is possibly the biggest decision that you are facing as a high school student. It is an even bigger decision than where you want to go for college. Actually, a lot of people got the order wrong. A lot of students, they're like, oh, I would like to go to this college or that college. Oh, I want to go to my dream college. But they often miss the most important thing. What do you want to pursue? What major do you want to be? And the reason why it is so darn important to figure out your major before the college is because, while different colleges, they may have different specialties. Some colleges, they have very strong background on one or two particular majors. And for that particular major, even though the college ranking overall might not be that high, you might still want to apply for that major in that college. For instance, UT Austin, where I graduated, they are good for quite a few majors. For example, engineering, computer science, business, just to name a few. But if you are trying to be a history major, liberal arts major, well, you might not want to go to UT Austin unless you really want to be there. But if you say, I want to learn the most in the next 4 years or during my 4 years of college, you want to look at what people say about the major at some very well-known famous colleges for that major, okay? Let me just give you one example. If you are pursuing music, you might consider University of North Texas. If you are pursuing art, there are some really good art schools that I've heard. For example, RISD, Rhode Island School of Design. I think there's one in New York City, Pratt. Okay. So these are places that, it's not your typical, top 10, top 20 school ranking. There are some universities that are under the radar and that it's not part of the top 50 university ranking on the U.S. News ranking. For example, one university that I know, it's Trinity University at San Antonio. They are not in that kind of ranking because they don't offer research-based PhD programs. So you don't see the name. But it's such a great college because the university, it's only about teaching. They don't do research. They just want to help students learn. And students that graduated from Trinity University, they said nothing but good things about the university because the professors are so dedicated to their teaching and students learning. Okay, so a lot of things to consider, but let's focus on the major part. Okay, let's focus on the major part. And then we'll talk about if or should you do double major. Okay, to conclude today's podcast. So back to the major. So you might have some idea about what you want to pursue. So let's talk about this group of students first. So let's just say you want to pursue a particular major. And let's just say, all right, you want to be a doctor. Ask yourself, what is the real reason why you want to be a doctor? Is it because of the money or is it because of the medicine? Ask yourself, okay? For whatever major that you want to be, ask yourself, what is the most intrinsic motivation, reason that pushes you to pursue that major or that career path? And the reason I'm saying this is because if your reason is not strong enough, is not genuine enough, if your reason is because of your parents, I've got bad news for you. You might not enjoy your future. And you might realize this pretty soon. As soon as getting rejected by colleges. Because your resume does not speak truth, your college essay does not stand out. People know, and people know the stories of a typical, medically aspired doctor, right? If your aspiration is to be a doctor, well, there are things that you would do as a high school student. There are things that you would know as a high school student because things do happen naturally when you love something, okay? So it's very important to know what motivates you to pursue a particular major or particular career path. You have to be very honest to yourself on this question. Okay? So, and if you say, I'm okay, I think I know my motivation, but I need some confirmation. So here's a suggestion I can I can provide for you. Go ahead, go to Google and search what kind of books that blank major must read. And then go find those books, one or two to start, and read them. See if you truly enjoy the reading part. It is a very low cost, high reward task. Because if you know what you want to be, genuinely, then the reading should be very enjoyable, very engaging because, hey, everyone is saying that you should read that book if you are pursuing that path, right? So you want to make sure that you enjoy it. If not, that it's an indicator. Okay, so that's a good start, good suggestion, good action to prove, to confirm your path. And other action that you can do, this one's free. You just have to put in time. Go onto Reddit, go to the subreddit related to your path, your major, and read what people say about the career opportunities, the career experience of that particular profession. See if you like it. Because what I understand is that if you are pursuing a major that is different from your parents' profession, then very often in time that you have a limited amount of knowledge about that particular profession. Just like me, my parents pushed me to become a pharmacist. I had no idea what it does other than, oh yeah, they dispense drugs, medicines. That's all. I've read something about like being a chemist, but the journey to be a chemist could be quite grueling because you have to do experiments every single day. You have to read a lot of research papers and you have to write papers too. Are you ready for it? Are you into it? Okay. So for the first group of students, if you know what you want to be, seek confirmation. You need it. The earlier, the better. ASAP. Okay? Now, the second group of students are the ones who have, no idea. Keep your options open. You're still seeking directions. No problem. We all do that. Now, the problem here, there's some imminent problem, there's some long-term problem for that path, for this group of students, is this. Some colleges, they do require you to pick a major. Some don't. I know that at least for University of Chicago, they do not really assign students to any major. You just take a bunch of, general courses, and then you will declare major by the second year or by the end of the second year. So you've got time to figure things out, okay? But for some other universities, like UT Austin, for example, you need to apply a major when you apply for college. You need to declare a major when you apply to the university. On top of it, changing major could be very challenging once you got accepted to whatever major that you declared. What I know is this. If I got accepted to the College of Natural Science, and if I want to, say, change my major to business, you have to fulfill a few requirements. For example, now that's back in my days, it might change, but hey, look up the information because you might need it. How difficult or how easy it is to transfer a major internally within college or between colleges. For example, like my example here, College of Natural Science to School of Business. Turns out that you need to have at least 24 credit hours, good GPA, and might be some other more conditions, requirements. Okay. And for UT Austin, if you are in College of Natural Science, you want to go to computer science. Well, it's another hurdle. And you have to anticipate the possibility that you don't get accepted for this internal transfer. And that could be really bad because now you're stuck. You don't like your major, that means you might not be able to perform well. And with a bad GPA or just mediocre GPA, that does not provide you a good chance of transferring somewhere that you want to be. So I want you all to see the potential problem of not making up your mind early enough. Okay? So there's a danger right there. Okay? Now, it is also a fact that, changing majors pretty common. Okay? I think there's some statistics out there, like about 30 to 40% of students, they do change major along the path in college. Okay? Now, while it's common, but the paths might not be very easy or straightforward, as I said earlier. So again, just a little reminder that it is for your best advantage, for your best benefit, to decide what major you want to be as early as possible. But now, if you say, Mr. Chan, I really have no clue. Well, I've got a resource for you, and you might want to take a look at it. And this is called, let me pick up my glasses. It's called the Holland Code Test. So what this test is about is to ask you about some personality questions. And through these questions, they could help you filter and tell you what kind of career choices would be good for you. I've got a link right here on the screen. I've got the link in the description box. So you can go ahead, click the link, and you can finish the questionnaire. And I tried it myself. I can share with you my example here too. After I finished the questionnaire, guess what the top choices are for me? It was all about teaching, all about it. I was like, wow, that speaks truth. Usually I've got some skepticisms for these questionnaires. I question the accuracy, but this one, it is so darn accurate. So this is why I'm recommending this to you. And if you say you know your major already, hey, it doesn't hurt to try this questionnaire, right? So go ahead, try it out, and share with the parents, share with the peers, and see what it tells you. Okay? Sometimes you've got a blind spot that you didn't know. Okay? Now, here's another thing that would help you decide what major you want to be is to understand your personality. Are you a people-to-people person? Or are you a person who would like to work with documents? You don't really need or like a lot of human interactions. Like for me, I am definitely a people-to-people person. If I don't talk, I would die. Literally. That's the reason why I'm doing these podcasts right now, because I just have to keep talking and keep speaking. So picking major, ultimately, it's a question about how good do you know about yourself? And if you know it, great. Go ahead. Pursue your dream, pursue your path, pursue your career. Lovely. If you don't know, go ahead, try it out. Make up your mind as early as possible. Okay, so now we settle the choosing major part. Now on to the second major question, and that is, no pun intended, should you double major or should you do a major or should you do a minor on top of your major? Okay, it's a very common question, and this is my advice for students who are currently considering this option. All right, should I double major or should I have a minor? So here's my advice for you. Number one, you only do this if you will not delay your graduation. Okay, so if you could finish college in 4 years or 3.5 years, go ahead and do it in 4 years or less. Here's the reason why. If you are saying doing a double major, okay, or a minor, and somehow it delays your graduation by 1 year, I would say it's not worth it. And here's the reason why. Because you could have done graduate school using that 1 year, get your master, and that actually would be much better on your resume, and you are learning something more professional, more specialized, and the outcome, the benefit of having a master's degree or going through those graduate level courses will be way better than you having a double major. Okay, so again, you only pursue a double major if you do not delay your graduation. Number one. Okay. Number two, does it really make you look sharper on your job application when you have a double major or a minor? I would say depends, but not a definite yes. And the reason is, ultimately, it's about your ability to do your job. Now, you might get a good GPA, you might get a second major, a minor, but if you say you get a second major, you do double major or a minor, and yet you are not able to perform the tasks that whatever job you're applying to, well, that means what? That means your double major, your minor, does not really matter. Okay? That's number two. It's all about your ability to perform tasks. Number three, Now, if you say, I'm really interested in, say, music, but I'm going for a business major, should I really double major? Now, I would say if you are going for, like, if you love music, ask yourself, are you pursuing music on a professional path? If the answer is not, save it. Don't waste your time. Focus on your degree and treat your music as your hobby, as a very serious hobby. Maybe it will become professional eventually, but hey, guess what? We don't care. Nobody cares, because if you know a lot, people will know too. And they don't just look at your resume, they don't just look at your degree, they look at your ability. If you are capable, they will hire you because they will interview you, they would test you. And this is the reason why some tech companies, they would just give exams or tests to candidates to code, for example, and they don't even look at their resume, and they will only look at their resume after they qualify for their exams. And even they might not have a degree, they will still get hired because guess what? They can perform the tasks. And nowadays, we are actually relying less and less on what it shows on the certificate, on your diploma. Guess why? Because we know that there are a good amount of students who did this school game really well. They get all these perfect GPA or high GPA, but they don't know much. So the diploma does not speak volume on a person's ability. So it doesn't matter. Okay. So ultimately, it's about what you do. And I also tell students a thought experiment. So you can walk through this experiment too. So there are two candidates, two job applicants. One, it's a double major. The other one is a single major. They perform the job aptitude test, okay, or the ability test, and they get the same score. Which one will I hire? Okay, which one would I hire? I will let you think about it. Which one would you hire? The double major one or the single major one? Okay. All right. Now, let me give you a little bit more context here. Let's just say that the test that I give out to both candidates it involve um, some multidisciplinary contents. Okay, so if you have a double major, you should know, and if you have a single major, might be something that you probably wouldn't know, but hey, you still know it. So now, back to the question. Which one would I hire? The single major or double major? All right, decision time. I will hire the one with a single major. Now, when I review my answer to my students back in the days in the classroom, a lot of students would be like, what? Why would you hire a single major? Why not a double major? And here's my rationale. If the single major candidate could know as much as the one who is the double major, that means this single major candidates must have done some extra work to pursue their knowledge, desire, and therefore the single major candidate learns more, knows more, and therefore there's a strong motivating factor within this candidate. And I would just take the double major one as a given, like, hey, you're a double major, so you should know all these. So that is my analysis as an employer, as a supervisor, as a HR director, that if I have two candidates performing the same, having the same knowledge base, of course, in reality, you can't really tell the exact boundary of the knowledge base, but let's just say they know more or less the same, I would choose the one. I would definitely choose the one that does not show a lot of major on on his or her diploma, because they went out their comfort zone, or they knew they should learn more, and they actually learned more to perfect their job, the job requirement or the tasks. Okay, so ultimately, the message is this: it doesn't really matter if you are doing double major or single major. It's about you knowing your task, you knowing what you are capable for in the future career market. Okay. Having a double major may give you a slight advantage, but it's not really directly proportional. I would say it's slightly better, but it does not really speak the volume that one would expect. So who cares? Okay. For me, I got a chemistry degree. I had a master in education with a master in science education with a specialty in environmental science. But no one really questioned or asked about the details of the major, of the master's degree. They just want something. Okay, they just want a title so that they can hire you, something like that. But ultimately, again, it's all about your ability to perform your tasks. If you can do it, you're hired. If you are able to do it very well, you're promoted. Simple, really simple. Okay? All right, now for the final section of this podcast, and it is about a group of students who might have this kind of scenario that is you are doing your major because your parents are sort of pushing you towards that major and you are very obedient, you're a good kid, and you don't want to, disobey your parents and you just want to keep going, okay, and see how things would turn out to be. Now, I had this idea, this thoughts that I would like to share with you, and a little observation that I had, and that is this. I look at the students nowadays, including myself. I look at the older generations, and I can say that it's a clear difference between the generations. I'm not sure if you have heard about it. It's kind of common for older generations to make the following comment, and that is, the younger generations right now, they are not the same as, our generations because nowadays the young kids, they just cannot endure. And back in the days, we have to do this and do that, and we just go ahead and do it. Okay, and nowadays the kids, they are very fragile. They are not able to accomplish much. Okay, so they are drawing these kind of contrast. They're saying like, hey, the kids nowadays, they are not as good as we were before. I understand that comment, and I'm 41 years old right now, and when I visit my old high school back in Hong Kong, and I also had something similar, I would be like, back in the days, I look at the kids, they are more mature, they are very thoughtful. And nowadays, the high school graduates or even college students, they look very childish, okay, for the most part. And I have been searching for an answer, an explanation to explain why I have this kind of observation. I wonder if my observation is purely because of my subjective bias, or is there any kind of objective fact uh, inside it? And I thought about this for a good long time, like over 10 years. And only recently I learned something about um, something called evolutionary mismatch. And I would like to share a little bit with you here. This evolutionary mismatch, first, it came to my attention when I was looking at some health related topics, such as why we are more obese right now in general, population wise, because we have a lot of sugar in our diet, we have a lot of fat in our diet, and back in the days, we were not able to get all these precious sugar and fat in the wild when we were still hunter gatherers, right? So, because of this evolutionary mismatch, we are able to have a lot of sugar, a lot of fat, and our body just couldn't handle them. And that's why we gain weight a lot easier compared to our older generations. Okay, so that's the beginning. Okay, and something that kind of hinting uh, this thought beyond the application of lifestyle and biology. And another thing that I would also bring to your attention is that I'm not sure about you or your peers. Like as a teacher, I see a lot of students being labeled as ADHD. And when I was in the classroom, I was like, no, that is not ADHD. He or she simply behaves like a very normal student. I don't see any symptoms of ADHD, to be honest. Now, disclaimer, I'm not a certified psychologist, and but it's purely my observation that there are kids who simply don't have that kind of trait of being ADHD. Okay. I would say I can tell you if I see one, but and I can also tell you that sometimes there are a lot of mislabeling, and you can definitely research about this yourself. That ADHD, there are some people who would say we humans invented this ADHD. Now, I would say there is a lot of mislabeling out there. A lot of ADHD kids, they are not really ADHD, but what it really is. Okay, if you pay attention to my previous episodes on passion, it is simply the lack of flow. And now, bringing all this together, where am I getting at? Okay, where am I heading to, you may ask? So, back in the days when we were hunter gatherers, okay, when humans were hunter gatherers, there's only one job that we performed, and that was to survive. Okay. And to survive, we need to do two things. We need to have food and we need to find good shelter. So every single day, that's the kind of survival needed tasks that we must be able to perform as an individual and also as a community. Now, fast forward to modern age right now. Okay. And when I'm looking at the students, when I'm looking at myself, are we actually fighting for survival? I mean, are we talking about life or death situation, that kind of survival? I would say not really. We have pretty good safety nets in a lot of like modern societies, developed countries that we have like food stamp, right? We have assistance from the government if you are poor. So, I mean, there are poor people who are striving to get food on the table, but for the most part, like it's a lot easier to survive nowadays. And for many kids that I interacted with, they are not in that group. They are, affluent. They are well off, and their job is to go to school, study, get good grades. So I have a few questions. Number one, when we don't have to fight for survival, well, how do we dispense those energy? Because we use quite a lot of energy back in the days in our ancient life. Okay, looking at our ancestors, they use most of the energy to find food and build shelters or find shelters. We don't have to do that anymore. And if you understand evolution, well, we evolve because of evolution. But the change from those hardship environments to our very comfortable environments now, it's just a matter of a few hundred years. Our genetics had not changed that much. So, where do we spend those extra energy? And the reason it's practically somewhere, but anywhere. Anywhere that could drive flow, we would choose to expense the energy that we have at those areas. And this is the reason why you see more kids addicted to, mobile phones, cell phones, games, right? Very addicted to games because it's the matter of energy or where to spend that energy. And that's the reason why there is a major difference between our older generation and our modern generation. And that is, well, how come our parents or grandparents, they can do anything that they needed to do, but for us, it seems so difficult because for them, especially if they were poor, that was a life or death situation. And that's why they don't have a choice. They had to do whatever they needed to do. But for our generation, who is, very comfortable, we don't have to fight for food. We don't have to fight for shelters when we're at a young age. We don't go outside and hunt for food. So, we don't have that pressure to do things that we have to do. We just don't. And when that becomes the reality, we tend to be less decisive. And that's the reason why we will have a hard time choosing our major, choosing our college, choosing our career path, because it's not life or death situation. Now, for me, I would say my decision to become a teacher, it was close to a life or death situation because I wanted to stay here in the United States. And if I don't make up my mind and if I don't have a solid path for me to stay in the country, well, then I'm going back home. And that it's kind of like well, I mean, of course, it's not like death, but it's pretty dark, gloomy for me to experience if I had to. And so I was like, I need to make up my mind. But when the pressure, it's not here. And for a lot of students, they don't have this kind of pressure. And so you can't really say, oh, yeah, my mom or my dad or my parents ask me to do this major or they want me to do this major, so I'm just going to go for that major. And eventually you would realize that, oh, it's a dead end or it's very difficult, and uh, you become stressed or even depressed because you're on this path and there seems to be no way out on your current path. So this whole idea of evolutionary mismatch is very crucial in explaining why you cannot simply go for a major because of somebody's advice. You have to choose your path from your own interest. You have to decide your college major, your university of choice, and your career option from your own interest. You have to find a pretty good fit between your path and your own personality, your values. And if there is a mismatch, well, sooner or later, you will find yourself at a pretty low point and eventually you get lost. And here's another thing, too. Now, I understand that it's very stressful to say, oh, I have to make my life decision. Well, it's not really a life decision. To make it more light, to make it lighter, this is what I also tell students. Your decision right now to choose your college major, to choose your career path, let's just say it's only a plan, it's only a decision for your next 5 years. Okay, you want to make a good decision so that the next 5 to 7 years or 5 to 10 years, no more than 10 years, all right? It's next 5 to 10 years, you are going to live happily, satisfied, and you will not regret your own decision. There will be changes. There, of course, gonna be some changes in the future. Like I decided to be a chemistry teacher, but hey, guess what? I'm not only a chemistry teacher, I'm also an environmental science teacher. I'm a math teacher now. I'm giving advices on college applications, college admission process. There will be changes. So your decision right now or your upcoming decision, it's good for the next 5 to 10 years. So don't stress yourself too much. Leave some room for yourself, all right, to make adjustments. And by the way, when you make a decision, it must be based on the best amount and best quality information that you gather. And when you have more information, feel free to change. Feel free to have a little tweaks here or there. Like for me, when I realized how boring, at least to me, to be a pharmacist, I changed. But I would try to not make a drastic change because you know, that could imply that I have to spend more or invest more time and money to continue my career path. So that's what I would advise to my students. And now you, and that is try to get your big direction right And then as you move on to this direction, along this path, you further narrow down step by step. And so you have better idea what's going to be. And to be honest, we are moving in a fast-paced society. The jobs that you may have in the future might not even exist right now. But here's another thing that I would also advise to take pressure out from your decision making. And that is, if you say, I have no idea what kind of job title I will have in the future, it's okay. Focus on the set of skills. All right. Focus on what kind of skill sets that you should have, or what are the skill sets that you need to have as a college graduate, and what kind of nice skills that you would have to increase your bargaining power. The more skill sets that you have, the better it is going to be for you in a job search experience. That's a fact. The more you know, the better it's going to be. Period. Focus on the skills. The job title could be different, but the skills, it's going to be the same. Like the skills of, logical thinking, critical thinking. All right. And I would throw in a few more, like just basic understanding of design, how to understand more points of views from different professions. All right. Make more friends. Ask them what they think about an issue, think about some particular major events, have their perspectives, listen to their perspectives. And the more you learn, the better it's going to be. And that it's something I would really want to make sure that when you finish listening to this podcast, this episode, you have a better picture, a clearer picture about what your future is going to be. Okay, hopefully, maybe you know what big direction you are approaching, what kind of skills you want to have, and understand that our generation is different than our parents' generation. We cannot just go on a certain path simply because somebody said so. It has to come from you, deep down, very honestly. Okay? You cannot lie to yourself. You cannot say, well, we just keep going and see how it works. That's usually not going to end well. So I hope this podcast episode gives you some idea about how important it is to know what your major and your career path is, and how important it is to know it as early as possible. Here we have the resource right here, the questionnaire. That's in the description box. Click it, do the questionnaire, see it for yourself what you are likely going to be in the future. Okay, so if you do the questionnaire, you want to come back and share your results, feel free to drop your comment and your results in the comment box. We can talk about it. And if you have any question about choosing major, feel free to drop them in the in the comment box as well. Okay, I hope this episode helps you out in determining what major you want to pursue in the future. And I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and I will see you soon in the next episode of Pick My Brain podcast. See ya. Bye-bye.